What's up, Cigar Club family? Welcome back to another episode of the Cigar Club podcast. I'm Pugh. Along with me, as always, is Griff Pugh. Thank you all so much for tuning in every week and leaving your thoughts and feedback on each episode. If this is your first time joining us, thank you as well for tuning in. The Cigar Club podcast is where we talk about all things cigars with the Cigar Club family every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern. On today's episode, we're going to be answering more of your questions. We got a lot of great feedback when we were doing this episode last time, so we thought, let's bring it back. But Griff, before we get into it, what are you smoking and what are you drinking? We got a little extra special cigar that we're pulling out today. Also, you look, I'm going to break the ice for anyone that's not watching. Griff looks miserable.
Well, I'm not sure. Actually, I do know whose genius idea this was to have a podcast this morning in the fall when the temperatures are in the 40s. So
that would be mine. Circumstances required it. So thank you for sheltering or dealing with the cold this morning as well as me. Yeah.
Well, I didn't really have an option. So La Polina Family Series Pasha.
Oh, God.
Pasha.
The Pasha.
Made at the one and only El Titan de Bronze, or El Titan de Bronze in Miami. Just lit it up. I was not going to wait for you because I've been sitting out here for the past 5 minutes, and you'd think that I would have long pants on, though. But I actually forgot until Ramsey or you messaged, you're like, still good for this morning? I'm like, completely forgot about that. So
that's why I dropped it.
I just decided to keep my pajamas on and throw on a hoodie.
Sweatshirt.
Because it's rather chilly out.
Yeah, it's 60 out, so it's not too cold here. But there's a little wind, which I imagine... I was expecting maybe the garage from you this morning.
No, well, I didn't even think about that either, but I had to go to the typical backdrop of the backyard and the koi ponds. So, but there's not even the slightest breeze. It's super still, so it's fine.
Pasha, I'm about to light it up. If you're watching at home, it's got a beautiful shaggy foot, and the hammer La Madrina, shaggy foot, but other than that, I can't think of too many shaggy foots. Expat, yeah. I was gonna say I can't think of too many shaggy foots that I've smoked.
When I was looking at the cigar in the cellophane, I did not even notice that because my eyes just go to the beautiful, typical La Polina band.
Yeah,
that resembles the Goldie for this one. But I did not even see it until I opened it up, and I'm like, oh shoot, shabby foot. Hadn't had this in a long time, and we're now just getting into the burn of the wrapper. So.
Yeah, I never know when I smoke a shaggy foot. Like, in my brain just wants to light all of the binder and filler and not, let it progress.
Yeah. You gotta light it like you normally light it.
The first time. What's that?
You gotta light it
like you light it normally, but
yeah.
But I'm like, I don't know. My brain just wants to just full combust it.
Whatever feats your fancy. I guess there's no right or wrong answer, I suppose.
I'm going to give a little rundown of the cigar. This is a 7x50 Churchill. God, that smells amazing.
Smells amazing. And I was wondering if this was 7 inches long because it's a long boy.
She's a long boy. Normally they come in coffins, but we were fortunate enough to work with La Polina to be able to get these in cellophane. Just a little bit added protection, and coffins are just a pain in the butt to try to ship. So we were fortunate they worked with us on that. It is an Ecuadorian Corojo wrapper with Ecuadorian Habano binder, Nicaraguan filler, and as Griff said, made out of Miami, the good old United States of America at El Titan.
That's pretty cool when you really think about it.
Yeah.
You don't smoke a whole lot of cigars. I mean, honest to God, probably one in every, for me, 50? One in every 40?
That. Yeah.
I mean, that might even be too little, but I cannot... La Colmena was probably the last cigar coming out of El Titan specifically.
Yeah.
And that was... I don't know. That's hard.
A while. Yeah. No, it's a rarity. There's a reason everyone wants to work out of El Titan. They are esteemed rollers. They know what they're doing. They've got a great operation over there. And I think some of our favorite cigars come out of El Titan. So
this is really, really good.
Have you smoked Pasha before? I don't remember.
I don't think so.
I know you've smoked Goldie, if memory serves.
No, I have not even
I thought
smoked
Dave
Goldie.
gave you a Dahlia before.
I don't think so.
He probably talked about wanting to send you one and then never did. That's probably.
Probably.
That makes sense. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like I would remember Goldie specifically. We did not smoke at a PCA.
Mm-mm.
I don't think I have. I don't smoke a whole lot of La Polina, again, for no rhyme or reason. I really love all of their blends. I love Kill Bill.
Yeah.
I love the 920.
The Años 125 that we smoked at PCA.
125. I was close in
Yep.
numbers.
Yeah.
That is a phenomenal cigar.
That is a really, really good stick. So it's been... I smoked Pasha and Dahlia a while ago. Years, we'll just put it at that. And it's so good to come back to one of the cigars that made me fall in love with La Polina. And it be just as good as it was then as it is now.
So, as I'm smoking this, I think this is a two-folded statement here. Number one, I'm going to light a cigar in my truck for the first time ever.
Oh.
Next week when I'm driving to Kentucky. Number two, I think this might be the cigar for that drive.
Oh, yes and yes. What's
Great
making you pull the
size.
trigger? Was it Brad's truck?
Well, that helped. That probably brought it back. Even when I got in Ryan's car in Pittsburgh last year, whenever it was, didn't smell. And if you do it properly, and nonetheless, this is just going to be one cigar. Hopefully, it doesn't turn into like a normal thing. Well, I take that back. Probably two cigars, one on the way there, one on the way back.
Oh, for sure.
But as long as I have the windows down, I air it out when I get there.
Yeah.
I think it'll be completely fine. It's all leather inside, so it should be.
Yeah.
It's not cloth, which would scare me more.
Yeah, I don't think I would ever do cloth. I'd be more reluctant or more willing to do leather and maybe, like you said, air it out on the way home.
Yeah.
Wipe it down with some leather wipes or something like that. You'll be good to go.
As
long as you're not doing it every
I'm
single
give
day.
it a whirl. The weather's supposed to be incredible. Driving through the mountains, it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. There are some people I see in the winter that'll actually just smoke in their car, turn on the heater in their car, go out of the, if they live in an apartment or something like that. Hopefully not in the garage. That wouldn't be the safest thing to do.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, I'm thinking a little heated steering wheel, a little heated seat action, and then a cold breeze from the windows.
You're going to
I
be
think
living
it'll be fun. I think it'll be
Rip
fun.
your gas mileage, but hey, you don't care.
Oh, screw it. It already drinks a ton of gas anyway, so I think this is going to be the cigar for the drive.
I think that's going to be a good call. And, God, it's so good. I sent you
Very
more than
good.
one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was making sure I didn't do you dirty.
I have.
Although I did do you dirty, and I realized I forgot to send you Diesla, so apologies. Dapper.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I probably would have forgotten, honestly. Yeah, I'm really excited we could include these in boxes, and I think we were talking about this the other day. To my knowledge, someone correct us if we're wrong. I don't think. Have you already said this?
No, I don't think I did. It's early. So
I don't
repeat
think
it.
we've ever shipped a cigar coming out of El Titan. I feel like we have. I continue to say that. There has to be a
The only
cigar.
thing that I can think of was the original Warwich El Titan.
That's what I was thinking as well.
Or was it Aganorsa?
Well, I know it was Aganorsa for sure, but which doesn't mean that. I mean, they still could have used
Sure.
Aganorsa tobacco there. I continue to think that too, but I don't know.
That's the only factory that comes to mind. I mean, there's a chance that we have, but even if we have, we're saying that this is the first. No disrespect to anyone that if we have shipped your brand from El Titan, we didn't realize it or don't remember. But what's really cool is if all things work out, we should still have another cigar this year coming out of El Titan. So that's going to be super exciting.
Yeah, this is just a.
It's elegant. It's what you expect, and this is to your point that you have issues with higher end cigars, or when you start to break that $20 price range. I don't believe this one does, but this has been a cigar that I've always had great consistency with, as far as its burn, its construction. I think coming out of El Titan certainly adds to. So yeah, this comes in at 1845 if you can find them. So it's starting to hit that price range, Griff, where you kind of maybe have some
Yeah.
reluctancy to go there. But this is one that I always find, even though it's been years since I've smoked it, the few times that I was able to get my hands on these, always great construction, great burn line, even with a shaggy foot. Sometimes that can contribute to maybe some initial weird burns. Great draw. I mean, top to bottom, this cigar hits what
phenomenal
a
draw.
$30 price cigar should come in at.
I think if this was, speaking of price point, if this was on the shelf, which not at my local shop, although Patrick did meet with them when we were in Miami, so
good.
Maybe they'll start
Heck yeah.
having a presence there. But if this was on the shelf next to, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is like next to a Davidoff
Yeah.
at $18 or $20, I would probably. Although this is so subjective because I smoke a lot more La Polina, and I don't even smoke a lot of La Polina compared to Davidoff.
Sure.
But I would probably gravitate towards this.
No, I mean, I think you're spot on. You get the beautiful coffin, great presentation. It's a big old Churchill, so you're getting, if you're into Churchills, you're getting a great smoking time. I love that, and maybe all Churchills are, but I love that it's a 50 ring gauge as well, and not like a 52.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's a Churchill, but it's not really a Churchill.
Yeah, it's like a Toro Extra.
Toro Extra, yeah.
Yeah. So I really enjoy that. You start to hit some of those larger ring gauges, and it could be a little bit too much of a smoke. I think this is the perfect size.
I was thinking the Sereno, Connecticut Churchill. Mm-hmm. I don't know the size off the top of my head, but it was like a 52.
It's like a 52, yeah.
I think. Yeah, it's a great hand feel, and as always, it's a great mouth feel.
That's what we're here for. So before we jump into it, a few little things. We have a special discount code for all our podcast listeners. So you can use the discount code podcast to receive 20% off anything that's not a subscription. So 5-pack of Balancing Act, the new Pinky's Out Lancero that is officially out right now. So you'll be able to use that discount code to pick yourself up a 10-pack of Pinky's Out. But Griff, these are going to be all questions that you have no idea what's coming. So,
yeah. First off, real quick, you asked and I didn't tell you, and I didn't even ask you. What are you drinking this morning?
Oh yeah, I thought about it, and then we diverted. I'm drinking an Ethiopian Whoosh Whoosh from
That name's
Onyx
annoying.
Coffee. That was annoying. Is that what you said?
The name is just annoying to me.
Yeah, the terminology for coffee is quite weird.
Oh my god!
Whoosh
isn't
Whoosh.
it?
You got bourbon. You've got honey roast or light golden honey.
Yeah.
Just I don't understand it, but I do want to. I think I'm going to ask for a couple good coffee books this winter. And
I think you need to step away from your single roaster and start exploring the other thousands of other options.
I completely agree. The one thing I like about Onyx is they have, and a lot of people do now, so this isn't a barrier to entry, but they have a roaster's choice for.
I'm probably going to kick this down, what you're about to say.
Please do. No.
Go ahead.
They have a roaster's choice where I can get 2 different roasts per order, and then the price is about what I'd like to spend. I started with Rivet a few years ago after we included Rivet, or I wasn't. This was before I was, but drank Rivet for 2 or 3 years straight, and then I switched over to Onyx. So it's about time that I switch it up, and I'm more than happy to take suggestions.
You're usually like into like $22, $24 out the
I
door?
do two bags every 3 weeks, and that usually gets me. Sometimes I can pause it or delay the next shipment in case I have a backup.
Oh, so you're getting 2 bags for $24, give or take?
No, I think with shipping it's like 37.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, oh shit, I would.
Yeah. So the price point is where I like. Obviously, I know I can start to really get higher end coffees. However, it's one of those my limitations in my Chemex brewing. Like the coffees that I get from Onyx, I feel like the way that I brew them in my Chemex now does a really good job, and I don't have to over scientific it where I'm like, measuring the time to extract and things like that. I just measure the gram, and then I'm good to go. So there's that hesitancy of jumping up to maybe $20 bags where I'm really kind of losing some of the flavors that I should be getting, and I don't know it. Because like we were talking yesterday, you're now doing third wave water for your coffee, right?
Yeah. I'm starting to do third wave. I will say with the more fruity blends, you can definitely taste a difference.
And that's
with some
what
of
I
the
love.
dark chocolate blends, which I like equate that to like higher proof bourbon for colder weather. You can't. I mean, you can a little bit, but you can't without intentionally thinking about it, if that makes sense.
Sure.
But I mean, Dave sent me a box of Third Wave. I got like 12 or 15 packets or 20 packets, I don't know, which is like 20 gallons worth, and I bought 4 gallons for like $4. So I don't know, it's something interesting, and I think it helps. From what I've read, it also helps with the internal pieces and parts of my coffee maker. So,
cool.
I mean, prior to that, we were using purified water, but I mean,
Sure.
coffee is what, 94%, 96% water in the grand scheme of things, or even more than that. So, I know your water does make a whole lot of difference. But I try a new roaster pretty much every week or every other week. We go through. I can get about 4.5 or 5 days out of one bag. When I don't do specialty coffee, my like house blend, if you will, is Counterculture Hologram.
Love Counterculture.
It is really, really good. Hologram, I think, is just one of my favorite all-time blends, and I could definitely taste the difference with Third Wave on that. But no, I mean, we explore all kinds of stuff. I mean, Heart, Ruby out of Wisconsin. I just ordered Sight Glass from San Francisco. I have Methodical here in Greenville, which is really nice. We did Camber from Washington State in Seattle. Kind of all over the board. So,
no, and I love that. Like, as you're describing, I'm like, oh, that sounds great. Like, are you doing it just randomly finding roasters, or I think you said Dave maybe helping you or something like that?
It's Dave's like non-subscription. We just get on the phone
side
and
hustle.
Like, what are we trying to think of? And so we'll order the same bag, so we'll drink the same stuff. And he's kind of figuring out what I like and what I don't like. But I leave it to him. Like, he's got my card. He just buys it, and it's a surprise to me, which is a lot of fun.
That's fun.
And
do you take photos of all the
roasters? I don't.
Coffee
I started taking photos, but I told him the other day, I'm like, oddly enough, I don't even do this with cigars. On the top of my microwave, there's like, empty space. It's a cabinet that no one ever uses, but I keep my scale up there, and I'm putting all of my empty bags up there that I will just eventually throw away. But I kind of want to like get through the end of the year and be like, see what I've gone through, and see if anything comes back. So I'm keeping all the empty bags, and I probably have 7 of them right now up there, which is kind of fun. But
yeah, I love the Onyx has really cool packaging.
Yeah,
I imagine within the boxes. So I take a picture of the top of the box because it gives me the varietal of the roast as well as the tasting notes. I don't go back and look at. I don't take notes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of pointless, but it's cool to just see.
Oh yeah.
After 12 months, you're like, I never had a repeat roast. Like, it's insane just how diversified coffee is.
I'll probably lay them all out on the table and take a picture at some point, and then
that's a cool idea.
In the garbage. But I don't know. I was like, I don't know why I'm keeping these bags, but I just am. So,
well, we're getting the weeds here, but I do have a question because you were saying you get about 3 to 4 days worth of coffee. You have a Mocha Master, if memory serves.
I've got a Mocha Master.
What is the dosage of coffee that you use every day? Question is, I use 50 grams of coffee for my Chemex every day, which gives me about 4 cups.
For 10 cups, I use 68.5 grams of coffee.
Okay.
And I've got a chart on the side of my... So, is what a bag? 300 grams?
Yeah.
So, it's 4.5-ish days. But not every morning I make 10 cups. I mean, 3 out of 5 mornings on the weekdays, it'll be 10 cups. And then, depending if Meg has to get up early and she doesn't drink coffee or she gets Starbucks or whatever, I'll make a 5 cup or a 6 cup. So, hit or miss. But I'll go through, or I'll rotate, but I'll go through what I ordered, let it sit once I get for about a week or whatever. And then when I'm not drinking that, I'll drink, Counterculture or Methodical or something that I can get up the street that's been roasted, within the past week or so.
Yeah, sure. No, I always, and that's the thing is I'm always making, it's always a 50-gram dosage, 16-to-1 water to coffee ratio, but I don't drink, maybe I should, but I don't drink like a housed, like you called your house blend. It's just whatever I get from my subscription, which I think maybe partly justifies not pushing to $20 bags.
Well, we have to, because otherwise I'd be buying bags every week.
Yeah.
And I mean, for some reason the local grocery store up the street great selection of specialty coffee. There's like always a sale. I can get Methodical or Counterculture for $9.99.
Damn,
that was
that's a great
roasted
deal.
4 or 5 days prior to when I get it.
Yeah,
like
that's great.
They're always on sale. Methodical is local, so maybe it's just a thing. But Counterculture is usually, I don't know, $14 or $15, $9.99 or $17, and so I use that to offset. Otherwise, I'd be buying coffee, every freaking week.
Yeah,
just because we make more every day, so it just you go through it. But
what are you drinking? I'm setting you up for it.
This is I got sight glass in yesterday. This is hologram, and I'll go back to sight glass tomorrow.
Nice. Yeah. Well,
it's good.
You've convinced me. I'll start to expand a little bit.
Look, we had this POS coffee maker. I mean, we got it in our wedding. It was fine. It's nothing special like a Cuisinart or whatever. And you couldn't clean the insides. So I did vinegar. I did all kinds of stuff to try to clean it out. And I couldn't get my hand in there. I couldn't get scrub brushes. There's so many nooks and crannies. Started getting mold. And
easiest
I'm like,
thing ever.
All right, Meg, we need to get either another one of these because it works fine, no problem, or why don't we get into this coffee thing a little bit? And if we do, we kind of have to go all out. So she was so hesitant at first because Mocha Masters are pricey.
They are. And then you got to get a good grinder to go with it.
Yeah,
as
and
well.
then I was like, okay, but you understand that if we get this thing, we got to get a grinder. And she's like, oh, God, here we go. So then you got to get a grinder. And I got
if you're into coffee, the moment that you have a cup that changes your perception on coffee. So mine was an Ethiopian Yggdrasil that was literally blueberry crumble. You could taste the butter, you could taste the crumble, you could taste the blueberries, and it was that point that I was like, oh, I am all in, because at that point it was Folgers, it was diner coffee,
Oh, yeah.
I think when people say, and this is obviously is a generalization, but when people are like, I don't like coffee, I'm like, I think you just don't like shitty coffee.
Yeah.
Now, that's not obviously the case for everyone, but when you get these single origin light roasts that are fruity and complex and have depth to them, you're like, it completely changes what coffee is. And I think maybe tea's probably the same way. Really anything, if you have the high end of things, cigars even, right? You give someone a White Owl, chances are they're not going to like it, but you give them, Pasha, which is, a higher end stick that's not full in strength, right? Obviously there can be things that could deter someone. Chances are it's more than likely going to be a better initial impression than a White Owl blueberry.
But you could also take coffee to so many more levels with basic things. Water, grinding the beans the morning of, because I've definitely tasted a difference if I grind them the night before versus the morning. Difference for sure. I always 100%. Do it in the morning, but when my parents are here, they get up at 4 a.m.
Crack acid on.
They just flip the switch. But grinding them in the morning, the grinder, the machine itself, adding third wave if you want to do third wave.
Oh, he's going to be so mad if he dropped out again.
Take basic, cup of coffee to another level. Am I cutting out?
You froze for a minute like it was internet, but you're back now, so you're good.
Sorry. Well,
nope, you're fine.
I'll get off my coffee rant.
No, this is fun. We talk every day, but yet we don't go into in-depth rants. So
and what I'm really excited about is, which is coming up, basically some of them are already out, but getting into Christmas blends. I'm really pumped for that.
So, God, you know what? Fuck it. This is going to be a coffee episode. Sorry, Cynthia.
How many minutes are we at? She's probably already dropped off by now.
Yeah, we're at 30. What the hell is a Christmas blend? I've been drinking coffee longer than you have, but I don't know what a Christmas blend is.
It's everyone's, methodical. I mean, to my knowledge, pretty much every roaster does a Christmas blend, and I don't know what it entails. I mean, it's obviously different for every roaster, but it's roasting the beans to get to the point of getting all of your baking spices and your cinnamon.
Gotcha. Okay.
And encompassing Christmas. Methodical's statement on their blend is Christmas cheer in a cup or something like that. So in the bags are always different. The bags are festive, obviously,
Sure.
Starbucks does their holiday blend or whatever. But yeah, mostly all roasters, and I'm really pumped for that because it's seasonal, and I love everything about Christmas.
If you remember and
tastes.
get a good one or order one blindly, drop me it. I'll pick one up for myself.
I mean, that's all we're going to be ordering in the next, probably in like early November, we're going to start doing that. So
cool.
I'm really excited about that.
That makes me think of how excited I am for December and being able to open up my Midsummer Night's Dram.
Mm-hmm. I still got to get that bottle.
They had 2 releases this year, and we were out and about and up in like Dahlonega last couple weeks ago, and like me 4 years ago would have been hitting every liquor store.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's November, or it's almost November. It's about the time, allocations start to hit different stores, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't care anymore.
Last Christmas, I go to the store in Maryland where my in-laws live, and they had Midwinter's Night Dram there, and I texted my buddy. He wanted it. It was $200. And at the time, I'm like, it's over retail for sure. But I was like, no, I'm going to pass on that. But now I'm like, if they have it this year, I'll probably pick it up because
have you had it
just
before?
Like a staple. I don't think I have.
Oh, yeah. I always, every year on Christmas, I take a picture of my Glencairn with Midsummer Night's Dram in it, and I take a photo of the front of the tree. Yeah. It's just like a tradition that I didn't know existed until I saw someone. It may have been even Kyle Gellis from Warped talking about how he always drinks it over Christmas. And I put 2 and 2 together, and I was like, oh, wow, you're right. And then now I only drink it over December. It just makes the bottle last longer. And
staple
to look
Christmas bottle, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, I got to keep an eye on for that because that's the one bottle I've wanted for a long time. If anyone knows where we can get some, let me know because I will grab one.
Well, I'm going to hit us off with a couple questions. Griff, I'm going to toss you a softball here to kick us off. I'm going to probably miss a couple R's in this one, but it's R518. I'm looking for a good cigar to pair with light beer. I think it's a perfect question for you.
To me, light beer pairs with pretty much every cigar. Even, Maduros, full-bodied cigars, they just talk to each other. I will drink a Natty Light or Bud Light with any beer. I would just say any Connecticut, if you like Connecticut's, that would work perfectly. But even any Habano. I'm trying to think the last beer that I had with this. Oh, you know what it was? It was probably Daughters of the Wind with Vlad. Yeah. Worked great.
No, they do. I mean,
it's kind of like tequila, like a little bit of a palate cleanser, bubbly, and I've never had a light beer like overpower a cigar or vice versa. I mean, honestly, you probably could with the cigar itself, depending on what it is, but nothing honestly comes to mind. I mean, any mild, medium plus cigar would pair perfectly with it.
Yeah, it either lets the cigar shine or it acts as a palate cleanser in between puffs. I mean, and don't shy away from it. Like you were saying when you were smoking Daughters of the Wind, you don't need to be worried about pairing a light beer with a high expensive cigar.
There's no relation.
It's not going to ruin it at all.
There's no relation at all. I mean, Daughters of the Wind is, I don't know, $20. Yeah. Maybe a little more. I mean, that Salomon, but it worked perfectly. And I remember you guys kind of gave me shit. You're like, oh my God, you're drinking Natty Light with Daughters of the Wind. It worked.
Vlad had your back on that one, if I recall.
Yeah, it worked. I'm a big beer pair cigar guy.
You are. I respect you for that.
Because it works 9 times out of 10. It does. Unlike some bourbons or rye specifically, it's like, oh shit, this does not work. Yeah, the summer. I mean, that's my summer go-to pairing when it's hot out. And let's see here. We got one from Mr. Lurk. I want to get into cigars, but I have no idea what to get or where to start. I've only smoked some Cohibas back in the day. I'll field this one. I would avoid samplers that are quantity over quality. So if you see a sampler that's 30 cigars for $25-$30, chances are you're going to get what you pay for. Going back to the earlier topic of, I don't even remember what we were talking about where it was related to that. Jesus. I don't know where you're going with that.
Oh, the White Owl versus, getting into cigars. If you have something that maybe is not as high quality, it may deter you from continuing with the cigar journey. So for me, look for brand samplers. we're all huge fans of Sereno. Wayfarer is a cigar that I give to all smokers. Alec Bradley Kintsugi, Crown Heads Mil Diaz, Principal, White Label, Classic. Are all brands that I would say certainly seek out, try. Fratello's got fresh packs that have pretty much one of every cigar in his portfolio. Yeah. Alec Bradley has some as well. So look for samplers that are brand samplers. 5. Usually they're in 5-packs, and avoid anything that seems too good to be true. Chances are it probably is. I
think I would also take a little bit of a different approach, and I'm not just plugging this because we just sent an email on it and we have some, but it could be us, it could be anybody. But we have the Ducks Unlimited sampler. We work with Ducks Unlimited, and it's a Connecticut, a Habano, and a Maduro.
Yeah.
And smoke all 3 of those, either back to back or whenever. I think you'll get a very good opinion on what you like after smoking those, because it's not to say you could say, "Oh, Connecticut and Habano is not for me." I'm full-bodied Maduro, and it's not even a full-bodied Maduro, but it's a Maduro nonetheless. And I think you'll be able to gravitate towards one of those, and then from there, start doing research on, top-rated Maduros or underrated Habanos, and start honing in on, kind of the overarching 3 profiles, if you will.
Yeah, I think that's a good call too, because when I go back to when I started smoking cigars, I was writing down everything that I smoked and looked for similarities in what I was smoking and what I liked, and then I was like, I really like Nicaraguan tobacco, so then I kind of focused on brands that were primarily Nicaraguan tobacco. And I would say, if you do find yourself gravitating towards maybe just Connecticut's, and you were like, that Maduro that I smoked wasn't for me, always challenge yourself and circle back to cigars that you generally don't smoke. I think about all the foods that I didn't like as a kid that I do now, right? And I think the same thing is true for really anything. You may not like it at a certain point in your life, but as you change, your palate changes in a situation like this, you may find yourself enjoying those cigars more than you did initially. So always take the opportunity, maybe a new release or a release that has great ratings.
Yeah.
Give it a shot. I think that's true for anyone, not just new cigar smokers. I know Griff and I myself do it as well. Griff smoking Connecticut's that he normally doesn't. Me grabbing a full-bodied Maduro that Griff's hyped about or really excited about, and giving a shot just to see where I'm at and what that does for me at the time.
I would also say, if you're getting back into it, just always have something on your stomach. That I had a couple bad experiences, obviously not having anything on my stomach because I didn't even know that was a thing.
Me too.
And you could be very quickly turned off by that. But on the flip side now, I was texting with Herb the other night when I was smoking double broadleaf. He's like, dude, that thing killed me. My point here is now I'm at the point of I try all new cigars. Well, broadleaf wasn't new for me necessarily, but like the Aganorsa Corojo I smoked yesterday. I smoked on an empty stomach. I try to smoke all new cigars on an empty stomach just to actually get a true test of strength, which is really exciting. Like that's
dedication
because you can if I get which I got a buzz from that Corojo yesterday. I went inside, got some chocolate and a Diet Coke, and I was fine 10 minutes later. But it really does give you the best definition of strength. Not having anything on your stomach, clean palate, first cigar of the day, which I did with that Aganorsa yesterday. And I love the colors on this. You probably can't see it too well, but the Validacion. And that sucker had some strength.
Yeah, we were talking about that and I don't know the last time did we smoke the Corojo when we were at Aganorsa?
I smoked the Connecticut. I don't know what you smoked.
I don't know what I think it was the Corojo. And I guess I'd eaten. I don't know. I didn't notice the strength, so I was surprised when you were saying it had strength to it, but it makes sense with the tobacco that's in it. Sure.
Yeah. But it's a fun test now once you have some cigars under your belt to really, because you always see when you're looking up reviews on, medium plus, full, and what does that
what
really
does
mean
that really
individually
mean for the
speaking?
Yeah.
And I don't know, just something fun to also do once you kind of hone in on what you like.
All right, I'm going to pull out. Question from JDM Steven. Noob here. We're all noobs, don't worry. If the cigars are wrapped individually, do you still need a Boveda in your bag? So I think he maybe means in cellophane.
Yeah.
And the answer to that is yes. So the cellophane is porous, so it doesn't do anything to retain humidity. Cellophane is a manufacturer decision. Not all cigars are going to have cellophane on them. I recommend keeping your cigars in cellophane because what it does is it protects the cigar, the wrapper specifically, from potential damage, whether that be in your humidor, during transportation, as it's in the box, whatever it may be. So that is a question, two-folded question. Some people ask, do I remove my cigars from the cellophane? You can, however, I don't recommend it. Yeah. And then, yes, so if it is in cellophane, you still need a humidification device. We always recommend Bovedas, but if you've got distilled water in your humidor, whatever it may be that you use to maintain humidity, keep doing that. You'll always need that. Cellophane's a personal choice, but I prefer it, especially if, you're grabbing a cigar to go walk downtown. You don't necessarily want just a plain cigar in your pocket, your jacket, whatever it may be, because chances are that wrapper, they're delicate, they're thin leaves. Yeah. Chances are you're going to have a scratch or a tear in it. So definitely recommend keeping in the cellophane, but you most certainly would need a Boveda or some type of humidification device to keep it going still.
I think I do. Well, I know I do. I think you do too. Keep uncellophane cigars kind of separately. Yeah. In their own bag, and which also smells amazing, but keep them separately so they're all in the same boat.
Yeah, I keep specifically uncellophane cigars in my desktop or my Winador so they can sit on the shelves neatly, rest on top of each other, and not bang around in the bag as I go sticking my dirty hands in them and looking for it. Great question, though. Great question.
Yeah, good question.
And let's throw another one here. Can y'all talk about how to pair drinks with cigars? Great question. Question that we get quite often. And you okay?
Yeah, it's a tough question.
For me, especially when I first started to really get into pairings, which is what I love, one of the things that I love the most about cigars, it really just comes down to experimentation. Don't be scared to try something new. One of the big things that I love to do is an energy drink with a cigar, especially like a cigar that's on the fuller side. It gives me the sugar that I need to maybe combat some of that nicotine strength. And usually the energy drink doesn't overpower the cigar. It's certainly not giving this world of complexity to the cigar that wouldn't have otherwise been found like some bourbons or some other pairings can. But, that's a weird one that most people wouldn't have gravitated towards. But I certainly have found that every once in a while I enjoy an energy, especially like in the summer when it's hot, I enjoy an energy drink with a cigar. So it comes down to experimentation. Try, if you like bourbon, try a bunch of different bourbons with cigars, and you're going to find some work well. And what's beautiful about pairing a drink is if you're sipping on it a few times and it's not doing anything for the cigar, or maybe it's doing the opposite, you don't have to continue drinking it. You can come back to it after you finish the cigar, and you're not going to waste it.
I think also exactly my first word was experimentation. Two things here. There's kind of a rule of thumb, at least for me, but then my second point here might be a complete caveat. It's like, to me, mild to medium, you kind of hover in the 90 proof to maybe 105, 107, and maybe the fuller bodied cigars, the darker Maduros, obviously depending on the cigar, of course, maybe 107 plus. To my point of smoking the Corojo yesterday, I was thinking if I had to pair this with something, I would probably do, prior to the smoking, I would probably do something maybe around, bottled and bond, or slightly lower, slightly higher, until I started smoking, and I'm like, shit, maybe Old Forester single barrel or Four Roses single barrel could be a great pairing. All that to say, it might be worth smoking the first third of a cigar and kind of
gauging
and picturing maybe what you have in your collection or whatever, and then go grab 2 or 3 bottles and pour 2 or 3, smoke, taste, and you can kind of hone in from there. But there's been several. I mean, that one, again, was quite surprising to me that if I had gotten a bottle, just for generic purposes, just like a bottle of Buffalo Trace, it probably wouldn't have stuck up to the
Handled it.
for me strength of that cigar. So would have gone back up and gotten something a little bit higher.
Yeah, and if you're out and about, say at a cigar bar that has a liquor selection or an actual full bar, don't be hesitant to ask your local tobacconist if they're worth their salt. They should be able to give you at least a start of the journey. You could probably talk to the bartender as well.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm smoking this cigar. Let's say you brought a cigar from home and you weren't sure. You smoked that cigar before, so it's got, leathery, earthy, chocolatey notes. You could say, hey, I'm smoking this cigar that's got this to it. Do you have a mixed drink or a cocktail, a bourbon, whatever you typically go towards that you want to, hey, what do you think may go well with this? And they may be able to guide you towards a specific recommendation. If you're at home, pour a little bit and smoke, like Griff said, smoke the first third, maybe sip on it a little bit and determine, does that go well? Does it distract from the cigar? Is it overpowering the cigar? Is it doing nothing? And then you could either continue with it, switch it up, whatever you may like. But
there is
at the end
no
of the day,
right or
have fun
wrong
with
answer
it.
because some bottles I love, people hate, and vice versa. And it's all so palate subjective. So to the cigar itself and to the whiskey or rum or tequila, whatever you're drinking, it's so subjective. So everything that we mentioned pairing-wise is all personal preference.
Yeah. And I think to the experimentation point, I think a recent one is Blanco tequila. Never in a million years would I thought Blanco tequila would go exceptionally well with a cigar, and I was blown away with how good it was. And that is certainly a new pairing that I will continue to look to expand and try new Blanco tequilas. Tequila in general, Casa 1910s go exceptionally perfectly well with tequila. But not something that I try to or gravitate towards often. Circling back to things that you've tried in the past, try again because you're at a different place. That's a perfect example of tequila and cigars.
Yeah. Yeah, I still am pretty firm on vodka probably won't work, but never say never, I suppose. Can't see that working, but...
We would go to a bar that had $5 martinis on Thursdays, and I didn't drink martinis, but Bailey would. She'd drink an extra dirty martini and smoke a cigar. Now, I'm not saying it did anything as a pairing, but it wasn't so off-putting that she couldn't drink a dirty martini and smoke a cigar at the same time. So there's a time and place to each their own for everything. Gin's another one that I don't really gravitate towards with a cigar.
Yeah.
It tends to be too powerful, overbearing, but I could maybe see like a Candela wrapped cigar maybe going with gin or vodka. I don't really enjoy Candela cigars, but that could potentially be, there could be some legs there. But let's hit up one more question. Griff, I'm going to look for the hardest question here for you.
Oh, good. Were these coming from TikTok or Instagram or?
These look like
TikTok,
YouTube. Here we are, turning 21 in a month and looking for a good cigar to celebrate. Any suggestions?
Turning
not too
21.
Difficult. There wasn't any crazy ones.
Looking for a good. Well, again, so subjective. I don't really know what you like, but.
I can cover for you while you think.
Yeah, let me really think about this one.
So while he thinks about that, for me, I think instead of looking at it as
I know where you're going with this.
Cigar to celebrate, I would say look for the the occasion. Your birthday is obviously the occasion, but friends or family, that's going to really make the cigar truly special. There's been so many cigars that Griff and I have both smoked that haven't been, this wild limited edition or hyper-release cigar or expensive cigar, but we reflect on that moment that we were smoking a cigar and who we were with and why we were there and the conversations that we were having around that cigar. And to me, that's what elevates that cigar to that celebratory status. Now, that's not to say there's not, Atabay that isn't a celebratory stick. It's not something that I go to every single day. But I have better memories of when I was smoking the cigar and who I was smoking the cigar with than sitting outside by myself smoking a $30 Atabay. And that doesn't come to my head as much as events and occasions of smoking the cigar.
I'm usually on that side, but for certain occasions, I mean, you only turn 21 once.
True.
Oddly enough, my cigar that I picked, the name itself, kind of goes hand in hand with turning 21 because it's very rare. Keyword rare.
Oh.
I would buy, if you can find them, you can. I mean, my shop still has them, and you can, I'm sure, find them online. But I would buy the Alec Bradley Fine and Rare yearly release. The middle cigar is a Bellicoso that comes in a coffin. Really, really good. The others are Toros. And I think it's like 7 different tobaccos, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so. 7 or 8.
It's Alan Rubin's favorite release, 2022, that is. And it's just a special cigar. I really, really enjoyed that cigar. $24 to $27.
Yeah, it's not anything crazy.
If you can find it, buy it, smoke on your birthday. I think you'll be pleased.
If I had to give a specific recommendation, if you have a shop or you're able to find some online, I would say a Fuente Opus X is a great 21st birthday. If you are a regular cigar smoker, if you're not, maybe buy it on your 21st birthday and come back to it in a year or two as you develop your palate. So depending on where you're at, you'll certainly enjoy it if you are a new cigar smoker, but you may look back and go, I wish I, waited to smoke that until I had maybe more of appreciation of the complexity and the nuances of it. But that's a great cigar that is, I mean, I don't think I've ever been let down by just the regular Opus X line. And they're about 30 to 35, depending on where you're at.
We've talked about this before. I could go both ways. I could easily grab something in my humidor that maybe had been sitting on for a while or someone gave to me. That could be a $4 cigar in the grand scheme of things. Sure. Or, again, you only turn 21, you only turn 50, some milestone birthdays, if you will. And go drop $30 on a nice cigar and enjoy it. Yeah.
I mean, I sound like a hypocrite, but because I do pick out my birthday week lineup of cigars that I've ignored because of whatever reason, maybe who gave them to me or how I obtained them or maybe the price tag. So I always do like a celebratory lineup that I pick out prior to my birthday and kind of look to smoke those throughout the week.
4 months prior to your birthday.
The 5-piece, Griff. Prior planning.
I'm working on 2026's line. Oh, Jesus. I don't even know how old I'm turning this year.
28.
I'll be 29.
Damn. It was a guess.
I know. Getting old.
I don't want to hear it. I'm almost halfway through 30, so.
Yeah, you're getting real old. Call it quits here shortly.
Thanks. I'm going to get fired for age discrimination. Sorry, David. Mm-hmm. We're 30 under club here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would do Fine and Rare, and even if it's not your birthday, if you see it in your local shop and you're on the fence, because I was on the fence 2 or 3 times going into the shop looking at it, and I don't know what finally was like, okay, let's just give us a try. I mean, we love Alec Bradley. We love Alec and Bradley cigars. Their yearly release, obviously, we've talked about yearly releases on podcasts.
Mm-hmm. You smoked 2 back-to-back, didn't you?
Coming up. I smoked the Toro and then...
the Bellicoso.
I don't know. Ernie gave me the Bellicoso because I mentioned it or something, and it wasn't there, so I think he got one from the back. And I can't remember which one I liked more, but there were some differences between the two.
Sure. Great question.
But, yeah, great cigar. Great cigar.
Well, despite this being a Q&A podcast, we still have a official question of the podcast. Oh. So this comes from Unknown. Thank you, Unknown.
Thank you, Unknown. Sound like a nice fella.
What are the flavors you look for in a cigar? Name some examples. That's a good question. The one that immediately comes to mind is, or if I have a cigar that has this flavor in it, I'm excited, and that's just going to be like a cream bomb. There's something that's just appealing to me of a cigar that's super creamy. I think of another one would be like marshmallows, which I get from the Principal Accomplice white label. That cigar was nothing but marshmallows, and it was incredible. Cinnamon is another one that a lot of people will gravitate towards. I love a aged cigar or that has aged tobacco in it that's got mushroom umami in it, dusty kind of
old
library book aroma to it, which sounds incredibly disgusting, but it's great when you've got a cigar that really can push that forward. Those are kind of the ones that I gravitate towards, or if I have a cigar that has that in it, I'm thrilled.
I think I'm with you on that. Two cigars came to mind immediately. I love pepper, spice. GR88 starts for me very, very peppery, and then transitions into this beautiful creamy cigar. Fratello Novetta and Verso is like s'mores.
Yeah.
Dark chocolate, Grammy, creamy, just really, really good. There's not really... Honestly, I would say if you can pull out any flavors, that's a win, and enjoy it, because it's very hard. Even with coffee, it's... sometimes they're putting these things on bags. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I taste coffee. I don't taste, blueberry
sweet
fig
Pop-Tart
pulled in mid-October. If you can really focus on a cigar and pull out anything, that's a win, and props to you, because it is tough. So, yes, when you're reading these descriptions online, there's usually tasting notes. I mean, there's been plenty of times I'm like, I'm not getting anything. But again, it's so palate subjective. How many cigars have you smoked? Is your palate trained, per se? It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. It's something that takes time. You have to really kind of sit down, and you're not going to really pull out these amazing tasting notes if you're, sitting around with 15 different people around a campfire and, you're 4 drinks in. Chances are you're not going to be able to have the dedication or the mindset to really sit down and focus solely on the cigar.
I will say having a cigar with transitions helps a lot. To my point of GR88, very, very peppery, spicy. You can taste it. It's like, oh, man, this is killer. And then transitions within the first third to smooth, creamy, no spice, no pepper whatsoever. That will help you a lot. These flat, single cigars, it's very hard.
I would say also to look, Small Batch does a really good job of coming out with samplers. They're not always in stock, and they don't always have them available. But if you are looking to find I really want to find cigars that are chocolate forward or maybe cream forward, Small Batch does a really good job of curating together samplers that are usually titled what flavor they are, and they'll include 3 or 4 or 5 different cigars that will be chocolate forward or cream forward or whatever it may be, spice forward. And those are really good ways to explore cigars that are going to punch you in the face with that particular tasting note. And then once you figure out what cinnamon tastes like in a cigar, it's much easier to find that flavor in future cigars and be able to different from a black pepper spice to a cinnamon spice.
Yeah.
And that can really, once you find it, it's a lot easier to find it again going forward. And if you're unsure, what's really fun is if you're like, oh, is this cinnamon or is it black pepper? Go into your kitchen, crack some black pepper, get some ground cinnamon, smell it, and then smoke your cigar. And that may help you distinguish between what black pepper is and what cinnamon is. That's kind of taking it to the next level, but that's a great way to do it.
And again, there's no right or wrong answer. I mean, you listen to some YouTubers smoking cigars. Maybe they're smoking a blend for something, and I'm just thinking about like the cigar that we did with Jason and Scott that we'll be releasing soon. It's Scott randomly said, "Oh, I'm getting this like weird blank." Maybe it's something I never thought of, and now I start thinking about like, I can maybe get around that, or vice versa. If you really sit down with a cigar and think about it intentionally, again, there's no right or wrong answer. You taste what you taste. Yep. Which I think is the...
Yeah, because a lot of taste, not only is it subjective, but a lot of it is memory. It pulls a memory out of you, whether it be... I've had like dulce de leche in a cigar before, and it's not that I'm getting dulce de leche, but I'm getting milk and cream and cinnamon and caramel, and those flavors combined give me a memory of dulce de leche. So sometimes
how many times
it
are you
can
gonna say
just
that?
Dulce de leche. One more time, just for you.
That name annoys the hell out of me. Just like the moosh moosh or whatever the hell you're drinking.
Whoosh whoosh.
Whoosh,
Ethiopian whoosh whoosh. And so it's just fun. At the end of the day, we're smoking a cigar, maybe pairing it with something, and just have fun with it, and it's crazy. I think my craziest tasting note was Hungarian paprika for kintsugi, and you know, I don't think anyone has smoked that cigar and thought of that, but I did, and that was fun.
No right or wrong answer.
Nope. Well, I've
No
got
right
a
or
question
wrong answer.
and a giveaway if you're not thinking of one, Griff.
Let it rip. Was not.
So in the comments below, first off, you know the deal. Like, subscribe, ring that bell to get notifications when new videos drop. But in the comments below, let us know your favorite release from El Titan, and we will select a winner, and we will send you a 2 or 3 pack, leave it up to Griff, of Pasha.
Yeah, that's a great question. Great question. Always appreciate the engagement that you guys leave in the comments, good, bad, and ugly, making fun of me or whatever the case may be. It's always exciting to go back in the middle of the week and look and see who's watching, who's leaving a comment.
I love all the people that it's their ritual coffee cigar in the morning when the podcast drops. That's I love it. So
yeah.
Well, thank you all for tuning in to another episode. Until next time, happy smoking.
Smoke something good, damn it. Cheers.